Welcome to the Trend Detection Podcast, powered by Siemens.
Hi there. My name is Rob Russell. I'm from Siemens, but I'm head of predictive maintenance and strategy and delivery within a part of the business that's called Senseye Predictive Maintenance. A little bit of background: Senseye was a company founded in 2014. I was one of the co-founders along with 4 others. And then as of last year, we were acquired by Siemens and now are forming part of their wider predictive maintenance strategy and go-to-market across a wide range of sectors and portfolios. But today, what I'm here to talk about is a report that we've pulled together, and I just want to give you a bit of an insight into that. And it's about, are you ready for predictive maintenance at scale? And that's a really key aspect for us at Senseye. It's how do you can do predictive maintenance on small numbers of machines and have quite a focus on now specific assets, but for us it's about doing it across entire factories and also coming up with a solution that works across an entire range of sectors. The system itself is a cloud-based software as a service business model. The focus is being able to connect up from small number of machines, maybe 10, 100 machines in the factory, but then taking that out into thousands that we can cover across the entire plant. And the key aspect of this is using AI and machine learning to actually scale the human in your organization. A lot of the things that you can probably see within the data in Senseye, somebody could look at it and probably tell you that something's going wrong with that machine. But once you've got 1,000 machines connected, your reliability engineer is now swamped. So what we're trying to do is scale his role. And this is key for us in providing a focus on what we call our attention index and delivering him direction on a specific day to the 1, 2, 3, 4 assets that need his attention at that point in time. It's something unusual is happening. And then it provides more focus down to maintenance as well, where a key benefit and outcome is the ability to start removing a lot of preventative maintenance tasks where you're maybe just monitoring the machines because you're worried or concerned about them. Once you've got connectivity, you can start to reduce those PMs and rely on the technology a bit more. But when we start to think about the technology, that's all well and good, but there's a big aspect where a lot of these digital projects run into failure. And there's many reasons for that. There's a statistic here from Gartner, just explaining that there's a lot of companies trying to implement technology on top of digital strategies and finding that they're not getting the success they expect. And one of the key aspects and one of the findings that's coming out in our experience and we're providing information in the report is related down to things related to the cultural change and the ability to manage the adoption within the organisation. And we've actually come up with a framework that allows us to monitor this and measure readiness of organisations, both from a data perspective. So we try to understand a data and a cultural evaluation and then bring this together into an overall index or score that we can then assess. And then trying to focus on how do we actually get customers higher up this readiness level that we look for. From our perspective, this is a really good tool to use in the early processes with customers where we actually want to understand how we can qualify customers at different ranges in those journeys. Is it something that's ready to go and connect up entire factories, or do we need to give them a lot of assistance in understanding the right type of machines and the sensing that's involved? But when we think about things like the data evaluation, we break this down into 5 basic levels. Things where, do customers even have sensors installed, and is there a maintenance being recorded? Are the sensors even accessible? And we see some level of maintenance recording, but then as we move up the scale, we start to see more online data that's maybe coming from PLCs, maybe you've got some data captured in the storage, and you start to see more maturity in the maintenance recording. But then as we move into levels 4 and then 5, this is where we start to see people starting to capture data related to condition monitoring, and they're starting to see use of regular maintenance management systems, computerized maintenance management systems to drive those strategies forward. And then shifting to a condition where we've actually got more than just condition monitoring, we've got a nice set of condition indicators that are giving you a good indication as to what type of failures machines are experiencing. But the important thing in this actually is that we're thinking more about this cultural readiness and the cultural evaluation. There's still a lot of organisations stuck in very highly reactive maintenance strategies and not making any use of KPIs to measure this. But then you start to see companies that have got more dedicated preventative maintenance, some level of measurement going on. But what we want to see is a maturity in that maintenance management process and the actual monitoring of the machines, maybe using some data as well as preventative maintenance. And starting to have some KPIs that they're tracking, like downtime records, how much corrective maintenance as opposed to preventative maintenance they started to capture. And then you can see that this starts to establish more into an area where they're combining preventative maintenance with some aspects of condition monitoring. And the KPIs come a bit clearer. And then some areas you'll see very mature organisations, mostly areas like in heavy industry or automotive, where you've had reliability has been an embedded practice for a long period of time. You find that they're up at kind of levels 4 and 5. When we move into the areas maybe more like food processing and things like this, the maturity level seems to be a little bit further down. But we bring this together into an overall spectrum like this, where we start to score the cultural maturity on the y-axis, and the data maturity on the x-axis. And then we've got measures where we're saying, if we start to see projects in this area, we think it's very unlikely that we're going to achieve success. So we need to talk to the client further and understand what's their journey to do with maturing their maintenance strategies, primarily in the way that they operate as an organisation. And we've got some methods where we can actually help to bring customers further up this range. And there's various workshops and services that we can run as part of that as well. But it's a very key aspect to understand where individual organisations land within this. But then thinking about the actual report that we've pulled together, and you'll be able to get like a flyer like this from one of my colleagues at the back at the end, and also can scan a QR code to get a copy of that. But the report, we covered a diversity of sectors, and it was 174 manufacturing companies. As wide a field as oil and gas, food and beverage, automotive, heavy industries, steel, aluminium production. And we're getting feedback as well from a wide range of individuals within those organisations. So not just the maintenance team and the reliability team, it's also understanding from the IT professionals in those organisations that are driving the digital strategy forward as well. And the data set that we've captured is through a range of questionnaires and surveys that we've done over the years and input that we get into our website that we've combined, covering a period from 2018 to 2023. And the report will be available later this month. Sort of a snippet of the type of findings that we're seeing and the range of where customers lie. You can start to see that it's approximately half, maybe even less, aren't actually culturally ready in our assessment to take this dive into predictive maintenance, because it's not, as I mentioned earlier, it's not just about adopting the technology and pushing the technology. And this likelihood of a 50-50% success rate without what we call customer success management. And this is a very key aspect in the methodology that we use to deliver projects out for customers. So we recognise that as well as providing our SaaS service, there's a lot of services that we embed around that to ensure that people get access to a knowledge base that lets them understand how to adopt predictive maintenance, how to adapt their organisation, but also access to specialists within our team that come from backgrounds of reliability engineering within various sectors that can support them on that journey. And then just thinking about how we increase this readiness, so talking about our methodology that we use within Senseye, and we break it down into these 5 main steps. So within scope, we're really wanting to understand the customer and the way that they're working now and the benefits that they're wanting to achieve. Sometimes I've been in scenarios where we've been giving a sales presentation to clients and we've been talking about avoiding downtime. And since Senseye, we've got evidence that we can reduce your unplanned downtime by 50%. And then you end up in a coffee after the meeting with one of the customers and he sort of comes up and says, "Rob, you don't understand us at all. We don't have a downtime problem." And you sort of step back and think, "What do you mean you don't have a downtime problem?" They said, "Well, we solved that 5 years ago. We've got an over-maintenance problem. We just over-maintain these machines like hell. They're changing things all the time." So this is where it's very important for us in the scope phase to understand exactly where clients are and where that level of maturity is. Then we move through into more of a design phase with a series of workshops, looking then to understand the right types of machines to connect. Other sort of analogies in here is clients are saying, "We've got a shiny new factory out in Brazil and it's all digital and IoT ready. We're going to use that as our test bed for your predictive maintenance solution." I go, "Okay, how new is this?" "Well, it just started running 3 months ago." "So how many failures are you expecting to have in these assets?" "Well, none. It's a brand new factory." "So how are we going to actually demonstrate to you the benefits of predictive maintenance in a short period of time? Let's go and find your older factory where you have got lots of problems with downtime and move into those areas." And then obviously moving into the deploy phase where we assist the customer in getting the system set up and implementing the solution. And then going forward into what we call operate. So once the customer's actually online and using the solution, don't just leave them to it. It's not about delivering the technology and getting things connected and all of a sudden the world's a better place. It's actually supporting the client in that journey, understanding the sort of KPIs that we've agreed, the success criteria earlier in the project and working our way through those. But then at some point they're going to face the consequences where maybe in that operate phase you're identifying you're not getting the adoption you expect, or you're actually seeing a lot of noise and unnecessary notifications from machines. We rely on our refine workshops to help us to reflect back and cycle back in an agile manner and enhance this. And there's a lot of focus within tech companies in these number 2 and number 3 within design and deploy. People think it's all about connecting the sensors to machines and streaming the data to the cloud and performing the analytics. But in our view, it's very much about these more human-centric aspects of it and understanding the organisation and very much focusing on this customer success management approach to get that cultural adoption. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if it's on the clock back just over 12 months ago, this wouldn't have been a Siemens logo, it would have been a Senseye logo. Now we're within the larger organisation, Siemens. They're actually very, very good at this design and deploy and connect phase, and I keep having to remind my new colleagues, that the job only really starts for Senseye here. When we think once we've got that connectivity, we've got the information flow, this is when the hard bit actually really begins in getting the adoption, because it's not really about technology. And what I want to do is just pull on a couple of example use cases that I think might be quite interesting to give a bit of context to this. So, one large automotive manufacturer that we've worked with for a considerable period of time, now they've successfully rolled this out into approximately 8 plants worldwide, connected up to 10,000 machines that we're looking at. A key aspect though, when we started the project in the first factory, they had 3 individuals that were dedicated reliability engineers that were working in that area. These would typically be the people that would be going out with handheld vibration monitoring equipment, walking routes and taking measurements from critical assets. We've actually taken these 3 individuals now to be monitoring approximately about 1,000 assets in that area that they're working in. So now we're that 1,000 eyes and ears. They're not having to go out and do various visual and manual inspections of machines. They're using the data to focus as to where they need to go. But one of the really important aspects and the learnings that I discovered in working with this company was that they are very objective driven and very KPI driven. And some of the things that we saw early on wasn't what you'd typically expect when you're rolling out a project. So say, well, the KPI we're looking for here is one of 50% reduction in downtime. Okay, well that's good, but how do you get there? Well, we got there by setting KPIs to do with levels of connectivity. It can improve that you can roll this out and connect it into individual machines across the different areas of your factory. Then the next KPI was we wanted to measure the use of the system. How often were we seeing the notifications that were being sent out reacted on, and how quickly were those notifications reacted on, and what sort of feedback was coming back in. So once we established the technology, when we established the behaviour within the team, then the focus shifted to the business benefit, and then the real KPI started to emerge of looking for that 50% reduction in downtime and saving in machine parts and spares. And then just finally, another case study. This was a very well established aluminium, mining, smelting and casting company. We work within their smelting and casting area. And some of the most experienced reliability engineers they probably come across. And again, they understood exactly what they were having to do, but they realised they needed assistance in technology in doing that. And we were able to expand, building on top of a lot of really good data that we're bringing into the data historian. They're using a system called OSI. And then we were leveraging that data set. But it's mostly just things like vibration monitoring and oil samples and debris monitoring. There was other data that we could pull on as well, like motor drive levels and speeds and current levels that we could use for condition monitoring perspectives. And that enabled us to extend out. Their prime objective they were saying to us is they wanted to reduce their preventative maintenance by about 20 to 30%. And we were helping them to achieve that, as well as avoiding large volumes of unplanned downtime. But I think the key takeaway what we get from today is that to roll out predictive maintenance on top of the digital strategy is much more than just leveraging technology. It's about making sure that you've got the right methodologies in place to get the team working effectively and getting the interaction and understanding how to get that technology adopted. And that brings us to a close. If you can scan this QR code or take a card from my colleague at the back, you'll be able to sign up and get a copy of our report. And you'll be able to look at the insights in there, and I'd be more happy for anyone who questions or feedback.
Please like and subscribe on all major podcast channels and find out more about Senseye Predictive Maintenance at Siemens.com.